So you want to buy a condo? Good afternoon. So in St. Louis, we have plenty of condos, but I don't do a lot of work with buyers or sellers of condos. I mean, I've sold and helped buyers on a few, but it's not the majority of my business. Most of the people are looking for single family homes, and so that's where I spend the most of my time. But I did see an article that I wanted to go over in USA Today, and just kind of go over the highlights and see if there's anything there. So the uh, the article is titled "Considering Buying a Condo. If you come across any of these red flags, walk away." I said, okay. I mean, there's lots of reasons to walk away from a condo, but I figured we might as well take a look at this one. So number one, it says deferred maintenance. It says in a condo, you depend on the board to make sure the common areas are maintained properly. If they aren't, you could find yourself with amenities that are more problems than features. I agree with that. Deferred maintenance is an issue, and your best bet is to look at the common areas. But if you're under contract, there will be a disclosure usually required by the lender that shows condo financials from the year prior. You can see what has been done and what has been repaired, and also most agents in my area do mention any known upcoming assessments. We were looking at a condo one time where it was these units like townhouses, and then in the center there was a more traditional condo, and in that traditional building, the elevator repairs by year were just kind of crazy, and so the people that didn't have an elevator were kind of being punished for the people that did. It was kind of a weird deal. So number two says Shoddy Construction. Well, we had that terrible accident or terrible tragedy down in Florida, which was, which should have been eye-opening for many people. It's going to be a tough one to know about in advance of your purchase. There's a couple reasons for this. One, you typically don't see inspectors tearing into walls and looking for issues. So when you schedule an inspection, they're looking for things like, does the water faucet leak? Does the HVAC look like it's in good condition? Things of that nature. They're not looking for these massive structural issues. And then the article suggests that you should look for building code violations. But I've kind of noticed in my time that many municipalities don't have this information easily accessible on the web. And typically on a disclosure, it's not asking if there were any building code violations. It's more like if there were ever any known violations. So if there was a building code violation like 2 years ago or two previous owners ago, you're probably not going to see that on the disclosure from the current seller. So leave that for what it is. And then high association fees. It says condos comes with fees, and you need to make sure the cost you'll be assessed is affordable to you. You should be able to get a full accounting of the annual dues you'll owe. In fact, your mortgage lender will probably require this before agreeing to give you the loan for the home. Generally, the more amenities the condo offers, the higher is the association fee. I agree with that. Also, the location. So what you're really looking for is what are the condo fees relative to other condo fees in your area? And then if they are excessive, why is that? What are you getting for that high fee? If there's a pool, trash pickup, etc., and the common areas are well maintained, that's one thing. It's quite another if the place is in shambles. So, I mean, is the grass cut? Does it look nice? I mean, maybe there's a reason for the high association fees. But if it's not, if it's just nasty, kind of, I'd say walk away. I think that's fair. Number 5, poor insulation. It says condos can be noisy if they aren't insulated properly. It says when you visit during the showing, check the thickness of the walls and doors, and if you can see or hear your neighbors. If you can hear a lot of noise in your unit, chances are that could be a problem over time. This is what I really thought was interesting. It says try to schedule at least some showings for evenings and weekends when people are likely to be home, so you get a better idea of whether you can hear routine noises in your unit. I have some experience with this. Typically, the type of construction has something to do with whether or not the condo is more noisy than others. As an example, I had some friends that lived in a condo that was concrete block construction with concrete floors. We didn't hear much noise, and the only noise we did hear came from the heavy steel doors that were opened or closed. The idea of scheduling multiple showings during the day and evening does make a ton of sense if you're concerned about the issue. I mean, if you've got typical wood frame construction, depending on when it was built, you could have little or no insulation. It'd be very, very noisy and very miserable. Or if you just have an annoying neighbor, if you have a neighbor that's always walking around above you, that can be annoying. If you have a neighbor that has plays loud music or something like that, that can be an issue. I've found buyers want to get away from those type of people. Sometimes that's the motivation to leave the condo and move into a single family home. Number 5 is inadequate parking. Now the numbers are off because they're missing one. They missed 4. So anyway, so inadequate parking, I totally agree. It's one thing if you have, like, say there's 2 people and you have 2 spaces that are reserved for you. That's fine. But if your guests have to park a mile away, that's no good. I have some friends that live at the bottom of the hill, and the guest parking for the condos at the top of the hill, and it's no fun to make the hike to your car after you've seen them. It kind of takes the wind out of you. And then one that I wanted to add was you want to know the percentage of rental units to owned units. To get FHA financing, there's a percentage of units that have to be owned versus rented. And at one time, there was even a square footage requirement so that if the first floor was retail, it could be an issue in getting financing. Most of the listings I see mention the type of financing available. And usually, if you can't go FHA, there will be a note in the listing. You do need a condo certification, and normally the lender pulls that, but there is also a link, and I put the link in the description below. So those are some things to look for. I mean, a lot of people are just going to be looking at the, how pretty are the walls and what's the space look like. But there is a little bit more, to buying a condo. That's all I have for you today. Not a long video, but hopefully informative. If you liked it, would you click the subscribe button? I'm stuck at 54 subscribers as of today, and it sure would be nice to get up to 100. That would make my day. So thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And I'll catch you on the next one.